Have you considered telling the child something like, if you do what I ask you to do, you'll get a big gift? That is, you're promising the child that you get a big gift if the child will do whatever you ask him to do. Today, I want to present to you a simple equation for greatness, a formula that has power to take you from where you are to unimaginable heights. Here's the question. Great things God wants to do through you, plus great vision, plus massive action, plus right mindset, plus the right true self and the right skill set will give you great success. And if you want an acronym, I call it PVA SMT. That is purpose, vision, action, mindset, skill set, and tool set. Now let's look at the first one. Great things God wants to do through you. Everyone, over 8 billion of us on earth today, have something in us that God has put there, and He wants to use that thing to do great things through us. How do I know this? There is a universal law that says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." That means God wants to do amazing things through you, and He has a plan set already. Things that will not only change your life or prosper you in every way, but will also prosper the world around you. But for that to happen, you need to align yourself with His will. Great prosperity, according to this law, is in the future, right? The future, but you have to have a good hope to be able to align yourself with that future. And that is why God wants to show you the plan so you can have an expectation. Okay? I say expectation is the greatest disruptor of the mind of man. Now, let's look at my intro to you about the child. So what do you think the child will say? Or what do you think the next thing the child will say? Maybe most of us that nurture children, a 5-year-old child, will be able to answer this question, right? Because we experience it. Will the child ask for what you want him or her to do, or ask for the promise first? The promise first, right? That's it. The child knows if the promise is big enough, he or she will be ready to do whatever it takes to get that promise, right? Once you announce that promise, it gets to work, right? And he or she will not relent until it completes it so that it can get the promise. However, it kind of change when it comes to adults. Not all adults, but most adults these days who ask for the workforce. What work do you want me to do? Instead of asking for the promise first. And that's how our mind gets tweaked. Something happened in our growing up that had tweaked our mind to demand for what is not important. We keep seeking what is not important, and we left behind what is most important. No wonder God says we should have the mind of a child in order to have faith in Him. So whatever happened, we want to go back to the mind of a child. The promise first. Now, in that universal law, it says there are great things that God has already marked to do through you. Won't you be excited to know those great things? So how do you know those great things? You may ask. Well, you ask for it, just like the child did. You will ask, what is that promise? Right? So you ask for it. And you ask for it sincerely. You ask for it with expectation. You ask for it with enthusiasm. You ask for it with passion. You ask for it with genuine interest. And when you ask, of course, God will show you, right? And that lies your purpose, which you can use to energize yourself to pursue the work that's required, right? Okay. Let me tell you a story about myself. Just an example. Okay. When I started working as a medical representative, I was a salesman to sell the products. I think it's called Naxin. It's a brand name for naproxen. And I was sent to a territory that had other representatives, other medical representatives that were already grounded. They've been there for a while. They knew all the doctors. They knew all the wholesalers. They knew all the retailers. They are their friends. You know, I mean, competing products like ketoprofen, diclofenac, paroxicam, ibuprofen. I mean, all the company reps were there in my territory, and like it looked impossible. I think they asked me to sell like I must sell like maybe 50,000 tablets in a year, thereabout. I can't remember exactly, but something of that. And aside from that, I also had my own colleagues too, you know, in Glaxo like me, that were already there. 4 of them, they were there. They knew all the customers. The customers are already used to them. And they've divided the territory among themselves. You know, they share the territory, the old customers in the territory among themselves. So there was nothing for me to do. There was like no customer, number one. Then how do I convince the doctors that are already been friends with all these other sales rep, company sales rep that are there? So the target it looked impossible then. But that was a promise by my company because I was not given a very good car. So the promise is if I could make my target, I will get a brand new car. And not only will I get a brand new car, I will get a promotion. Right? And I knew then, as a young man, I was 21 years old, then that brand new car is even enough for me. Give me a brand new car and I can paint the town red, right? I can date the girl I wanted to date, right? And you know, medical reps were the movers and shakers of the town those days. So that promise kept the hope alive in me. And I started seeking how will I make these targets? In those days, right, we're expected to detail, I think, 10 doctors, 5 to 10 doctors a day, and a seminar, 2 seminars per month, right? You know, the seminars will get a group of doctors together. And I knew if I had to make this target of 50,000 tablets, I have to get an average. I have to get a leverage, kind of. So, how many doctors will I get? How many doctors will I detail? How many customers will I visit in order to sell 50,000 tablets? I know when you give you 50,000 tablets, the best thing is to 10 times it, right? Double it. Most people will do. But what I did is I multiplied by 10. So I gave myself 500,000 tablets. That means if only I could get results with 10% of my efforts, I'll meet my target. So I gave myself a target of 500,000 tablets. And I knew detailing doctors will not get me there. I have to do seminars. And seminars were so difficult to do those days, you know, because you have to pay visits to them, remind them, send flyers, prepare, get refreshments, get other people to your other colleagues to attend, your manager to attend, and you know, it's so complex to organize that most of the reps would rather shy away from it. But I knew that was what would get me to sell 50,000 tablets because I said, okay, if I need to sell 50,000 tablets, I have to detail 500 doctors within a quarter. So I knew detailing would not get me there. So I went on seminars. Seminars needed preparation. You had to read, you had to study, you had to be grounded in knowing your product and knowing every quality, every benefits, and even the untoward benefit as well. Benefits, disadvantages, and how you can overcome disadvantages of a product and all that. So I had to settle down. It took enormous amount of work throughout the night. I will read throughout the night and I will walk throughout the day. Eventually, I was able to figure out how I could do those seminars with ease. So I was doing one seminar a week with at least 50 doctors in attendance. And within 2 months, I hit my target. It was like a miracle. But I learned something from there. What was my motivation? My motivation was the promise. The promise of a brand new car. The promise of a promotion. I know I was more inclined to the brand new car than the promotion. So I held on to the promise, and that promise was alive in me because I knew that if I had a brand new car, I could travel, I could take my girlfriend on a trip without being worried that the car would break down. And of course, it's flashy too. That promise was alive. Because that promise was alive in me, I was ready to do what it took. I even went above and beyond what was required so that I could meet up the target. So I tell you today that why don't you seek that great plan that God has for you? It could be the fuel that will keep your hope alive. He said it will give you hope and a great future. So that will say, if you don't know those plans today, I want to advise you to seek for those plans. What is the plan? And the plan is not far-fetched because he said he puts his purpose inside us already. So if we search deep in our hearts, our talents, things that are happening around us, what's getting us angry, what's getting us passionate most of the time, even by simple praying about it, seeking it, you will know those plans. And that leads us to a vision. The second part, God shows us a vision. A vision. There's a universal law that says where there's no vision, the people perish, right? Your vision is your roadmap to greatness. It's a picture of your future that inspires you to keep moving forward, even when things get tough. When I became obsessed in my thoughts, I was meditating on the benefits I will get if I meet my targets. I met my targets. And I got this big vision of 10 times my targets. Big vision leads you to massive action. And that's what I took. I took massive action during that quarter towards meeting my target. And one thing about taking those massive action is before you know it, it now becomes easy. The work which you thought was so difficult, it now became easy. And people were wondering, how come I was able to do this with ease? Because most reps were running away from seminars in those days. Number one, you have to be very knowledgeable about your product and about competing product as well. So it took a lot of study. You have to read through journals and all that, the latest journals. But the thing is this, because it's my product, I only had to read through all these journals once and maybe read updates from time to time. But I only had to study and understand my product once, understand the competitors once. And once I did that, I didn't have to go back to read every time, right? And that's what makes it seamless. And I didn't have to know how to organize a seminar for 50 doctors every time. I only had to make the plan once. And once the plan becomes successful, I could replicate the plan. That's how massive action becomes easy. So why do adults now ask for what the work is instead of asking for what the promise is? So today I want to challenge you. Do not focus on the work. Focus on the promise. And the work becomes easy after a while. So when you're confronted with a great vision that demanded massive action, and of course, every great vision demands for massive action, you will certainly meet obstacles. Because once you decided that you are going for a great vision, you have already given yourself a problem. A big problem that will look unsurmountable. So instead of running away from the big problem, which a lot of adults do, they shy away from it. What about if you confront it? What about if it just become easy as you confront it? David, before he confronted Goliath, it looked difficult, right? Everybody was running away from Goliath. But when David decided to confront Goliath, even putting on the hammer was so difficult. I mean, he couldn't move in it because he was not trained in it. The hammer was even bigger than him. But because he decided to confront it, he found a solution that was even much easier. Most people will go to battle Goliath, right? In a war with their armor. But David did not even have to move close to him. It became so easy that even from afar, he could defeat Goliath. And that's what I see. Because the God that gave you the promise, that decided even before you were born, that he already had great thing he wanted to do through you, already has that solution. So when you now when you focus on the promise, then the solution will also be revealed to you. We have seen great scientists, great inventors. When you ask them, how do they get to create this thing, they will tell you that it was revealed to them in a vision or in a dream. But without concentrating on the promise, the vision is not likely to be revealed. So great vision follow the great promise. I repeat it. The great vision of how you are going to do it, of the steps you are going to take, comes after you have embraced the great promise, not before. Because a lot of people seek the vision first before the promise. I tell you, in most cases, when you seek the vision first, the vision does not last. And of course, every vision too has problems it creates, right? Because there will be obstacles. But once the obstacle comes, how do you surmount it? But a great promise brings a great vision. And when there is obstacle, it brings another great vision. And when it is necessary, it brings another great vision. So the vision never stops because the focus is on the promise. So why people focus on the vision instead of the promise? The vision does not last because a little problem could discourage you from the vision. So today, let's round up as we're going to be talking about the other aspects in our next video. Massive action, the skill set, 2 sets, the second part of this video. So to round up, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you'll find. Knock and the door will be open to you. If you keep asking for that great and mighty things God wants to do through you, you will receive it. If you keep seeking for it, you will find it. If you keep knocking, the door will be open to you. Ask the right questions first. Every promise comes with a price, but seek the promise first, and the price will be worth it. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. God bless.